And the star of Dirty Grandpa, Robert De Niro, getting censored by The View after raging like a bull who saw a red MAGA hat.
And they might think that it's going to make their life better, or they just want to, excuse my French, literally, it's almost like he wants to do the worst that he could possibly do to show this country.
Robert De Niro was once known as one of Hollywood's biggest legends, but these days, many people see him less for his movies and more for his heated political comments. Time and time again, he seems to find himself in the middle of controversy, speaking with the same intensity that has left audiences divided. Then Greg Gutfeld entered the conversation, bringing a calm and sharp approach. What happened next didn't feel like a typical back and forth. Gutfeld pushed back on De Niro's remarks with humor, confidence, and a different perspective that caught a lot of attention. He didn't just respond to the anger, he questioned where it was coming from. As the exchange unfolded, the image of the tough Hollywood icon began to look a little different. To many viewers, it raised a bigger question. Has Robert De Niro become disconnected from the audience that once admired him? This wasn't another movie role or red carpet moment. It became a public clash that people couldn't stop talking about, and one that left everyone picking sides.
Robert De Niro graced the knitting circle in hell known as The View, where he tried to link random thoughts into a sentence. Joy was there to wind him up, since he's played some of the most unredeemable characters.
You have played some of the most really unredeemable characters. Travis Bickle. Travis Bickle was a psychopathic taxi driver. Jake LaMotta, who used to beat his wife, and he was in The Raging Bull. Is Trump and they are?
To me, he is. He has no understanding that I can see of the outside world.
Robert De Niro was once considered one of the biggest names in Hollywood. His performances made him a legend, and for years, he seemed untouchable. But lately, he's been making headlines for something entirely different: his outspoken political moments and public outbursts. The actor who once commanded the screen with quiet intensity now often finds himself at the center of controversy. And just when many thought the conversation couldn't get any louder, Greg Gutfeld stepped in with his usual mix of confidence and sharp humor. Gutfeld didn't hold back. He challenged De Niro's comments point by point, turning what could have been a simple disagreement into a moment that grabbed plenty of attention. With every response, more people began asking the same question: what happened to the Hollywood icon they once admired? For many viewers, this wasn't just another celebrity feud. It felt like a striking contrast between a legendary actor's past and the public image he's built in recent years.
De Niro kind of represents Hollywood in the sense that they realize that they're losing influence with the public, and that's what's generating the emotional response. They've never felt less important.
It just, doesn't it feel like 2016 again? Like, we lived through that. Did they forget?
Yeah.
It also feels like they forgot that. And remember, just this week we had Kamala Harris dropping the F-bomb at a group.
There was no grand entrance and no big production, just Greg Gutfeld with a raised eyebrow and a confident smile, taking aim at a man who seems to have turned public outrage into a trademark. The exchange didn't start with shouting or over-the-top drama. Instead, Gutfeld approached it with calm confidence and sharp timing. He picked apart the argument piece by piece, almost like someone carefully pointing out every crack in a story that no longer adds up. Rather than matching the emotion in the room, he stayed measured and focused. And that's what made the moment stand out. It wasn't about who could be louder, it was about who could make the stronger point, leaving viewers to decide for themselves what they had just witnessed.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?" Thank you. Last night, an elderly, confused man went missing in New York. Luckily, a band of self-satisfied elitists found him babbling on the street, threw some pants on him, gave him a stage.
And honestly, it doesn't even seem like much of a challenge anymore. Robert De Niro has become one of the easiest figures to criticize. The actor who once captivated audiences with unforgettable performances now often makes headlines for his fiery public comments. These days, many see him as a Hollywood legend who refuses to step out of the spotlight. The same voice that once commanded the screen now sparks more debate than admiration, leaving people wondering how such an iconic career took this unexpected turn.
Do you really worry that if he were to win again, and I'm not saying this like it's such a far-fetched notion, if he were to win again, that he would not give up power?
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is.
Gutfeld doesn't have to make anything up. He simply points to what's already happening, and De Niro's public appearances do the rest. The quiet, measured presence that once made him such a powerful actor seems to have faded over time. Where audiences once saw depth and subtlety, they now see a much louder public persona. Instead of letting his work speak for itself, his comments often take center stage. And for many fans, it has led to an uncomfortable question. What happened to the legendary actor they used to admire?
Trump.
Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture. And the clenched fists at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh my God.
Look at it again. It's so cute. It's like he found out the restaurant serves Jell-O, or that he won a $10 scratch off.
The man who brought characters like Travis Bickle and Jake LaMotta to life has taken a very different path in recent years. For many critics, some of his latest projects and public appearances feel far removed from the legendary career that made him a Hollywood icon. Greg Gutfeld doesn't have to add much to the conversation. He simply points to the contrast. The actor who once earned praise for his depth and presence now often grabs attention for his outspoken comments and headline-making moments. And that's what makes the situation so striking. Gutfeld isn't criticizing the legacy Robert De Niro built, he's questioning what has happened to it. As De Niro continues to step into political debates and public controversies, more people are asking the same thing. Has one of Hollywood's greatest actors become disconnected from the audience that once celebrated him? For Gutfeld, it's less about tearing down a legend and more about watching one struggle to let go of the spotlight.
Trump's rise coincides with De Niro's decline. And the person who knows it most is De Niro. He's a fine example of how not to turn loss into bitterness. There are plenty of people who don't like Trump, but don't let it warp their minds or their ability to speak aloud among grown-ups or The View. But the Schiffs and De Niros of the world are emotionally damaged by politics to a point where they can't even assess their own emotions. Being an actor is tough. For how does one handle real life without a script? Not equipped to think analytically, you're left powerless when observing your own predictions about life turn out wrong. It's not supposed to be this way, De Niro thinks. Only the cool guys get to win. Sorry, Bob. That's only in the movies, but at least you'll always have joy.
What's become most surprising isn't just Robert De Niro's public outbursts, it's how expected they've become. Each new appearance seems to follow a familiar pattern, with strong emotions and bold statements quickly grabbing headlines. Greg Gutfeld doesn't have to do much beyond pointing it out. For many viewers, it's not even the message that stands out anymore, it's the delivery. The actor whose intense stare once defined some of Hollywood's greatest roles now brings that same energy to nearly every public debate. Over time, De Niro's political commentary has become a major part of his public image. And as the reactions continue to pour in, Gutfeld keeps returning to the same point. When the headlines become more memorable than the performances, people naturally start asking what happened to the legend they once knew.
Understanding that I can see of the outside world other than anything around him. He has no idea of what his purpose in life is as the president should be, and that is to pull the country together, to be for the people, to heal wounds, not to open them up and pour salt on them.
De Niro clearly has thought about this, more so than his career. His choice of roles is now down to cinnamon and lobster. He was then asked about the Trump kids. At least he doesn't want my kids to take this the wrong way.
Gutfeld doesn't focus on Robert De Niro because of the actor he used to be. He focuses on the gap between De Niro's legendary past and the public figure he has become. To many critics, De Niro still speaks as if every appearance is a major moment, even as audiences seem increasingly divided by his comments. These days, people don't just talk about his movies, they talk about his interviews. His public remarks often generate as much attention as his film career, and not always for the reasons he might hope. Gutfeld's approach is simple. He points to the contrast. The man once praised for his presence and unforgettable performances now spends much of his time in political debates and headline-making appearances. For many observers, it's no longer a Hollywood story. It's the ongoing transformation of an icon trying to remain at the center of the conversation while the audience watches and decides what to make of it.
And they don't like most of the Trump voters because they are Americans. And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. That then when he goes, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody, how intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simple.
And Greg Gutfeld doesn't just point out the irony, he highlights it for everyone to see. Not because he admires it, but because it's become hard to ignore. What was once the presence of a Hollywood legend now often feels like a series of headline-making moments that leave people shaking their heads. Even De Niro's familiar expressions, once tied to some of cinema's greatest performances, seem to carry a different meaning today. For many longtime fans, there's a sense that he could have stepped away as an untouchable icon, remembered only for his incredible body of work. Instead, he remains firmly in the spotlight, continuing to spark debates and draw attention with every appearance. And that's the question Gutfeld keeps raising. What happens when a legend struggles to move with the times? To many observers, Robert De Niro's story isn't just about politics or public comments. It's about watching one of Hollywood's biggest stars navigate a very different chapter of his career and seeing how audiences respond along the way.
De Niro thinks only the cool guys get to win. Sorry, Bob. That's only in the movies, but at least you'll always have joy. You know, when dislike is so emotional, Katie, I always think it means something else. Like he's actually thought about this. Like, he's like, it's in his head. And I can't help but think it's because they're of similar age and they're both New Yorkers.
And in the end, Robert De Niro will likely continue receiving applause for the incredible legacy he built over decades in Hollywood. But for many critics, the conversation today isn't about his past achievements, it's about the public image he's created in recent years. Greg Gutfeld's criticism centers on that contrast. He argues that the legendary actor who once captivated audiences has become better known for his outspoken appearances in political commentary than for his work on screen. And the discussion isn't ending anytime soon. De Niro continues to put himself in the spotlight, while Gutfeld continues to question how one of cinema's biggest names arrived at this point. To many observers, it's become less about a single disagreement and more about the ongoing story of a Hollywood icon navigating the final chapters of an extraordinary career. Whether people agree with Gutfeld or not, one thing is clear: Robert De Niro remains a figure who can still command attention, just in a very different way than he once did.
To take this the wrong way, but if my kids did what these kids did, I wouldn't want to be related to them. I would disown them.
Whoa, this is sad. Here you have someone pretending to be a tough guy turn out to be just a second banana for Joy Behar, the poster child for Trump derangement. Sadly, Bob is now just another gibbering, enfeebled ninny, surrounded by inept relatives as he frets about how Trump's in power. And
Gutfeld kept pressing the point, arguing that Robert De Niro's recent public appearances have become almost as talked about as his movies. The actor who once dominated the big screen with unforgettable performances now often finds himself making headlines for entirely different reasons. To Gutfeld, that's what makes the situation so remarkable. Here is a Hollywood legend who played some of cinema's most iconic characters, yet his interviews and public comments now generate just as much attention as his film career. He suggests that De Niro no longer simply answers questions, he turns every appearance into a statement. And with each new headline, the contrast becomes harder to ignore. A man once celebrated for his work on screen is now known just as much for the debates that follow him wherever he goes. For Gutfeld, it's an unexpected transformation, one that continues to fuel conversations about legacy, relevance, and how even the biggest stars can find themselves remembered for something entirely different than what made them famous in the first place.
You know, Richard, when the other team, let's say your team, grabs clips of, say, from The Five or Sean Hannity or Jesse's show, they could say we're wrong, but they can't say they're acting crazy. Like, we have fun. But why is it on the other side, let's say the MSNBC, the CNN, the View side, when they actually appear like they have psychological issues, that this stuff is so ingrained, this Trump derangement, that they are mentally ill. That's De Niro clearly is having problems. His therapist is getting paid a lot.
But Gutfeld saved some of his sharpest criticism for what he sees as De Niro's biggest transformation. In his view, the actor has gone from playing relatable working-class characters to becoming a public figure who often speaks from a place many people find disconnected from everyday life. Gutfeld argues that De Niro now presents himself as a moral authority, weighing in on nearly every major issue while expecting his opinions to carry the same weight as his legendary film career. And that's where he sees the contradiction. The actor who once connected with audiences through unforgettable roles now finds himself at the center of endless debates, with every interview creating a new round of headlines. Yet despite the criticism, De Niro continues to step back into the spotlight as if little has changed. For Gutfeld, the message is simple. The legacy of Robert De Niro is still undeniable, but the public's perception of him has evolved. And as long as De Niro keeps putting himself in the middle of the conversation, the criticism and the commentary are unlikely to stop anytime soon.